Hi, and welcome to the most definitive guide on voice AI agents for beginners. If you're looking to sell AI services in 2026, knowing how to build and sell these agents is going to be one of the most important skills that you can develop. Why? Because the market is booming, businesses need them, and there are not enough people that can actually deliver them. And I say this as someone who's been doing this for a while. I scaled my AI agency to more than 6 figures, and I've now coached hundreds of people on how they can do the same. So I have enough visibility of what you should learn and in which order. The disclaimer is you don't need to be technical, you don't need to have previous experience. I'm gonna teach you everything step by step. We will see a theoretical concept and then we will apply it. So by the end of the video, you will have built a production-ready voice AI receptionist, a website with a widget where you can call your AI agent, an ROI calculator that you can use in order to calculate the ROI of your voice AI solutions, and eventually I'll teach you also how you can use Claude Code in order to generate voice AI agent using the Vapi MCP. So no fluff, this is what you're gonna learn today. We are going to start studying the structure of a voice AI agent, meaning we're gonna study the components, how does it work, and what are the building blocks. We're then gonna move into what a good system prompt looks like and what are the mistakes that generally people do. We're gonna define what are 3 ways to add the knowledge base into your AI agent and what is the right one to use and what are the cons of the other 2. We're then gonna define the 5 type of tools that you can integrate to your voice agent. We're going to understand how you can customize your voice. We're gonna discuss one of the topics that it's not very sexy on YouTube. However, it's very, very relevant when you go to production-ready environment, which is latency. And this will be extremely practical because once we review each of these concepts, we will be applying them in practice right away. So this means that by the end of point 6, you will have made your first production-ready AI receptionist. And just to give you some 80-20, the MRR, so monthly recurrent revenue that you can get out of this solution is around $500 if you know how to position them properly. Eventually on point 7, I'm gonna teach you also how you can use Claude Code in order to create voice agent and how you can connect it to the Vapi MCP, which is the system that we're gonna use right here. We're gonna define the 5 agent offer that are actually making money in 2026 and which one I would suggest that you start with if you're a total beginner. And eventually, I am going to teach you how you can build your ROI calculator for voice AI solutions that you can use at lead magnet whenever you pitch to entrepreneurs this type of solutions, and that will help you out in positioning this as a revenue increase type of solution rather than a simple cost save. So if this sounds good to you, let's get started. Before we start, let me show you real quick the 2 platforms that we have as go-to platform for voice AI agents. So one is RetailAI, one is Vapi. There is no substantial difference between the 2. I think RetailAI may be a little bit more beginner friendly. However, Vapi allows a little bit more control when it comes to latency, which is why I tend to prefer it. And it's generally used also by developer. We are not gonna do code in this course, nor it will be relevant because we now have Claude Code that can support us. However, I'm just saying I have a little bit more control with Vapi, so that's why I tend to prefer it. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is signing in. So let me sign in. And once you log in, this is the initial platform. Now, it may seem a little bit intimidating, but we are not gonna say anything because in order to understand the platform, we're just gonna clarify a little bit what are the theoretical concepts behind it so that when we come back, we can read it properly. First chapter for us will be the structure. So what is a voice AI agent? So now every Vapi voice agent is called an assistant, right? So immediately now we know that when we are in the assistant tab, we are talking about the tab where we store our agent. And if you see, you will probably have Riley, if I'm not mistaken, and fast receptionist. These may be 2 standard things that pop up. However, the remaining one that we will build will be built inside this assistant. Now, every assistant is made of 3 layers that work together in a pipeline. And what are these 3 layers? So let's try and draw right here the voice AI agent, and then we can go into the details, right? So we're gonna just do it in blue just because we like it. So initially what we know is that whenever we have voice solution, there is the voice of a human, right? So we can draw the megaphone. Now, what happens and what are the layers now of the agent once that voice is heard from the agent, right? So we will have that here, this is going to be our fantastic agent. And we will have few, I call them layers just because it's easier for me to draw them, right? So the first layer is what is called the STT, which is the speech to text. So what does it mean in simple terms. It means that the voice right here is heard and it's transcribed from a voice format to a text format. And why is that? Because LLMs, as you know, tend to prefer text things or text inputs, and in particular, this will be transformed in a markdown format. However, for our intent is just enough to understand that the first step is when the agent transcribes the voice. The second step is that there will be a brain. So once the voice is transcribed, we go inside the second step, which is what I am going to draw here as a brain. I don't have drawing skills. That's why I do AI solutions. And basically here, the intent is just that the LLM will have to interpret whatever we said, and we'll have to understand what is the request that comes from the person, right? So it depends, it can understand what is my name, what is my issue, what is my phone number, so on and so forth. So the brain is the processing mechanism that will transform whatever input in an output that is satisfactory for a business, so in a business-worthy output. And now here, once the brain is done processing, we move into the other part, which is what we call the text-to-speech. So here we have the TTS, right? And here we had the STT. So this means that eventually we want to hear once again a voice. This is because there is a voice solution. And this is a continuous process that happens every time that the user interacts with the agent, right? So let's make an example. Hey, I need help because I have a leakage. Then transformed. Then the agent will be like, oh, okay, what type of leakage? Do we offer that solution? Then it's going to say, hey, okay, what is the leakage? What is it that it happened? How? Is it a storm? Is it something important? Is it something urgent? And then eventually you go. You continue in this infinite loop up until the calls ends. And then again, this will be the last time that we hear something from the agent. So these are the three layers. Now, if we go a little bit more on details, now that we have defined them, right? And we try to understand, okay, what do we have inside each of these layers? Now, here we have that the ears are few models right now that in Vapi we have. So it's Deepgram, it's Assembly AI, or it's Google, right? Now, every model, and you will understand that the more we go with the course, has pros and cons. It does not need necessarily to be flashy, the model that you want to use, because they tend to have a lot of cons, which is latency. And we will talk about it later, but it's basically the time that it takes for an agent to answer back or to process your request. So the more powerful the model is, the more we will have a model thinking, the more time it will take for them to process all of these information. And so the more they will wait, meaning, hi, how are you? I'm good, how are you? And this period is called latency, which is the awkwardness, let's call it. The second step is the brain. And we said that here we have quite a few providers. We have OpenAI, we have Anthropic, we have Grok, and I put here some trade-off. As of now, and I will show them to you later in details, I think this one is one of the fastest and cheapest that we currently have as of the moment of this recording. However, when you watch it, it may change. What's relevant is how we're going to check how much does it cost and what is the latency later when we go and check the platform. Now, voice here, it's the mouth, it's the text-to-speech. And again, pros and cons, strength. If we want something fast, we're going to go with Deepgram. If we want something reliable, we're going to go with Azure, and so on and so forth, right? So these are the three layers that we were defining before. So long story short, this is our overall flow. So caller speaks, then we have a transcription, then we have an LLM that thinks, then we have the voice that comes out, and then we have the caller that hears the response, and then we proceed in a loop up until we are satisfied with the information. Now, what decides when the conversation should start or stop? It's this, which is called endpointing, okay? So there are some models, and imagine it as an alarm that it's triggered and says, okay, you can go, or okay, you can start talking, or you should stop. The caller is talking, so let him speak, okay? So this is what we will use in order to define it. Sometimes is external to model, sometimes is internal. With this said, we now go back again into Vapi. And one thing that I want to stress right now is we don't care about the platform. We are platform agnostic. I don't have any partnership with them. I just think they have a great product. But what we care about is more understanding how we can build a voice agent overall, because more or less all of the platform will have these type of things that we're going to review right now inside their platform. And it's just a matter of, can we read them and can we interpret what we're doing? So we said that each assistant is a voice agent. So we're going to start from here and we're going to press create assistant. We're going to go blank from a template. However, here you can see that you have something that is already pre-made. And we're going to press this one and create assistant. Now, here we have new assistant. Of course, this is a poor name, so we're going to call it YouTube agent. Actually, voice agent. Okay? And now what do we see? We see immediately that the 3 layers that we were discussing, and I go back again just for you to see it real quick, which is the transcriber, the model or the brain, and the voice, are actually the things that we immediately see here. So that's why I call them layers, because they're also divided. So model right here, then voice, then transcriber. And then there are a few stuff that we will see later on, okay? But as of now, we're just learning the platform, learning how to read, getting our selves comfortable, with the platform, and then we will build it. Now, where do you find the providers that I was talking about? In here, you will have all of the providers. As you saw, I put just a few. Here you can check the models and etc. If you check right here, there is a voice which is called cost, right? And it's how much the conversation may cost, and latency. So latency is basically how long does it take for the agent to answer, right? And right now it takes 1 second. So we are just going to be waiting 1 second for it to answer. Now, how can we control these? We have many ways and we will talk about them in details, but if you press right here on the model, what you're going to see is that each model has a latency, so the speed of answer or process, so whatever you want to define it, and the cost. So now, why am I suggesting that this is generally the fastest, this one or the Omni ecosystem? However, this one is the fastest. Because if you scroll all the way up and now you see GPT 5.2, you will see that it has a latency of 1.3 seconds. And so if now we were to select it, we just impacted negatively the latency of the overall system. So if now you were to save it and then to publish all of these changes and etc., you see that here the latency overall substantially deteriorated up to 2 seconds. So this means that we're going to have a 2 seconds delay between us talking and the agent answering. And this is definitely what we don't want. So because of that, let me go back to the faster models. And this is one of the very reasons why you need to have a very good prompt, because good prompt allow you to use cheaper models, faster models, and etc. Okay? Now, going forward, first message mode. So basically this allows you to decide if you should be having an assistant that speaks first or we should wait for the user. What does it mean? If someone calls, is it the user that says hello or is it the assistant? Now here it depends. So in our example, we're going to build a voice AI receptionist. So what we're going to build is an assistant that speaks first, because whenever the assistant picks up, I want the assistant to say, hello, how may I help you? Right? Because it would be weird if you were the first one to speak. We don't want that. So this is what basically this allows. Okay? Now, first message is basically the first message that we want the assistant to say whenever the user picks up. So we're going to say, hello, how may I help you? And this is the first message that we want to use. By the way, now that we're going to review the prompt, I'm going to show you, I'm going to put it in my Skool community. All the link is down below. You can access to everything for free and all the resources will be for free in one of the links down below. Now, here you have a system prompt. The system prompt is what helps the system decides how it should be behaving, what should be happening, what is the things that it should do, should not do, and so on, right? So where do we find a good system prompt? We go back to my Skool community. So we go inside the classroom section. Then right here, I go into tutorials and should be somewhere here. Yeah, agentic AI, because eventually later I teach you how to use Claude Code for this. And we're going to go into the prompt. This will lead you to a Notion, and this is already accessible for free to everyone. So this is the gigantic prompt that we are going to use. So we go here, we copy, we go in our agent, and we just paste it. Now, let me quickly skim through it just to give you the 80-20. However, you're going to be able to just copy it. We want to give an identity. So we want to help the agent identify itself. And that's why we say, you are Paul, an AI receptionist for Paul's Roofing. You sound like a human. Then we're going to give it a style, right? So how should it answer? What should it say? And etc. Response guidelines. So one question per response. Ask one thing, stop, wait for the answer. Keep every response under 15 words when possible. Again, we are talking, we're not writing a poem, right? So response guideline. What is the task? So what are the things that it should do? So greet the things, gather the info, and etc. Detect the urgency. Call awareness. Instruction for tools, we still did not talk about them. However, I'm going to show you how we can integrate tools and what should we do. Then guardrails, so never invent pricing, never invent availability, error recovery, additional information. And we will see what is the importance of adding the date, by the way. Cool. So now we leave this for now. So MAC tokens is basically the maximum number of tokens that you have, right? So as input. And temperature, it basically means how much we want the agent to be able to invent or stick exactly to something specific, right? So 0, we are going towards the deterministic thing, which means that it's not going to invent anything. However, we don't really want that, right? Because if it's too deterministic, it will sound like a robot. And we also don't want to go all the way to 2 or whatever, because this would mean that the agents start inventing stuff. So I think 0.5, 0.3, 0.7 are ranges that I generally recommend. Now let's leave files for a second. Voice configuration, here we can check the voice, right? And the transcriber will give you a couple of other options, which basically is just the model that you use to transcribe. Mind you, what I showed you before here, if you press, you will have options to check, okay, what is the latency and so on. So you will be able to fine tune it a little bit. So with this, we have built the initial part of our agent. So we're gonna press save and then publish. And this means that right now we can actually call the guy. And as you see, just because we selected the stuff properly, we decreased from the 1K to 0.8. And I will show you how we can go even more down. However, we can now try it. And if you want to try it, you have a button right here that says talk to assistant. So you're going to press it. And then eventually the assistant pops up once I have...
Hello, how may I help you?
Hello, my name is Giovanni. I have a leakage in my rooftop.
Okay, Giovanni, a leak sounds urgent. Let me get you taken care of right away. What's your address?
My address is City 123 in Country Blue.
Got it, Giovanni. I'll check our earliest availability.
So already now you see that versus a lot of tutorials that you see online, the agent tends to answer rather fast. And the reason is because it still has no idea of what we're doing, because it still doesn't have the information of the company and etc. We just give it a good prompt. However, you can already see that just with a decent enough prompt, and this is not even the master of prompts, you will see if you go through it, it's very simple yet exhaustive. But this is the 80-20 that will bring you very far, right? Because we don't want those awkward silences. Cool. So right now we built the skeleton of our assistant. Let's go back to Excalidraw and let's go to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is basically what we just discussed, and therefore I will very quickly skim through it. So as we mentioned, the prompt is what makes an agent great, right? So a bad prompt means that the agent is either hallucinating, either taking forever to give you any answer, while a good prompt means that we can start chatting and interacting with the agent as if it was a human, right? The prompt should tell you who the agent is, how to behave, and what to do. And here I left also, later on you will see, but a 5 steps point that I would always have. So an identity, style, task and goal, guardrails, and error handling. However, you can refer to the prompt later on. Now, if you look at this, and that's why I put it here, I never mention company information. Now, what it is something that we might be expecting if we're a novice to the space to be here, but it's not. Company information, right? And that's actually one of the mistakes that I see quite a lot of people do. And this is exactly what I want to talk about now, which is where should you store the company information and how should you feed these information to your agent? Now, a lot of people, specifically in the beginning, feed these information inside the prompt. So let's imagine that here you have a point which is called point number 6, and here you have all of your company info. So you insert all of the information down here. Now, what is the repercussion of this? The repercussion of this is that if you're playing around with the agent just to experiment, that's a great thing. But if you're building something production ready, this is going to cause you a bit of problems. So let me now go real quick here and let me show you one thing. So right now I want to introduce a concept, and to do this, I will draw a graph, which is, let's call this performance, right? And let's call this tokens. What are tokens? Tokens are, you can imagine it, it's inappropriate, but think about the token as a word. In reality, it's like 3-4 letters. But basically is the more words in natural language that we feed to an LLM, the more we consume tokens, because every word, you can imagine it as a token, right? But what happens to the performance of the agent whenever you have tokens that are fed in, right? So initially, the performance of the agent will do something like this. So initially, we expect the performance to go up because we go from no context to some context. But then eventually, you will see that the performance of your agent will do this. And what does it mean? It means that the further we go, so the more tokens we feed to these LLM, the more our performance, deteriorates, okay? So we need to be very cautious whenever we are building agents in how we are providing these tokens inside the context of the agent, because we don't want the agent to have a dead weight, let's call it like this, that will keep impacting the performance, right? Because let's imagine that we have a gigantic prompt. Then we know already that we start, maybe if it's too long, we start already here. So we already passed the point of like peak performance, and we are already here. So the more the agent will go, the faster it will deteriorate. And so we are never going to have an efficient agent. So context management, token consumption will be something we talk about, and it's super important. Now, why does providing actually the company information inside the prompt affect the performance? Because with the prompt, you can think about it also as the initial prompt, right? So back to our drawing, let's think about it like this. Let's think that you have your voice AI agent, and initially you have, and this is your conversation, right? So what are you gonna do? The person starts talking to you, then you start talking, or the agent starts talking, and then we can repeat the process, right? So all of these are tokens, right? All of these are tokens that are going to be fed to the conversation of the agent. However, initially you have your system prompt, right? Which is right here. So this is exactly the same prompt that we inserted here. So you understand clearly that if our system prompt is not good enough and it's not designed in the right way, we have inserted so many tokens already that we are in the situation that we were describing before. So we were right here. And this is the reason why you don't want to have the company information, because maybe with the company information, you go even longer and you are extending the prompt right here. And this can have repercussion because instead of you starting from here, you start from here. And so you are even lower, right? So this is why this is not the most efficient way. And this means that every time that the system is initialized, we are going to feed all of the information to the agent. And this means that even if, let's imagine, we ask our agent, hey, what's the name of the company, which is already inside the system prompt, right? So it's already in the green part and would not require also the orange part. Just because we have it in the system prompt, the agent will initially, to answer that first question, retrieve all of these information, just to answer something that was probably right here. Because we didn't ask the pricing, we didn't ask anything else. So that's why we generally don't do that. But now, this is the first way of inserting knowledge, right? So the first way of inserting knowledge is inside the prompt. And we said it's non-optimal. It's not bad, but it's non-optimal, right? Because then we know that we are just impacting the beginning. But then what is the second part? The second part or way to go and tackle this issue is actually to use what we call files, right? And what are files? Let's go right here. And let's see this voice right here. So this voice is called files. And in here, you have the chance of attaching something like a PDF, an SOP, company guidelines, and so on, so that your agent is actually able to access this information. Okay, so the second option would be to go here. So how do we do that? We need to go on more, go on files. You're just gonna go inside the community once again, download the company knowledge. And then once you have downloaded the company knowledge, you go back here, you do upload file. You're just gonna upload the PDF, and this is exactly the PDF that you will be seeing. Now, once you did that, you're just gonna go right here, and you're just gonna select it. So what did we do right now? So right now, as you can see, actually, first of all, let me show you what the company knowledge looks like. This is a simple SOP that I created. So about the company, the owner, the team, location, opening hours, services we offer, and etc. Right? So what we were discussing before to insert the knowledge inside the prompt basically means that we were doing something like this. So we were copying all of this, going here, and just at the bottom right here, we would copy paste everything. So this is how you insert it inside the prompt, and this is non-optimal. And so we said that the option number 2 is actually to use the files. But what is the problem with files? The problem with files is that if we go back to our drawing, it's even worse than the prompt. And this is what not a lot of people know. And why is that? Because now imagine that we said in the beginning that with the prompt, if we were to insert the information inside the prompt just at the first shot, so the first prompt, we would attach a lot of unnecessary information. But with files, we continuously attach a lot of unnecessary information because now every time that the agent thinks, we are going to have to retrieve all of those information. So what does it mean? It means that token cost is increasing even more. And by the way, I hope that it's clear that the more you consume token, the more performance decrease, the more latency. So latency, which is the delay. So it's the symbol that we had, I think, with the speedometer, like this, right? The more latency increase. And so the more the agent will take time in order to answer to us. So that's pretty tricky. Cool. So this is the second method that I see a lot of people doing, and it's the worst method possible that you can have in order to attach your knowledge to your agent. Okay? And I created for you a very structured, before we discuss the third one, table where I explained in detail what is the token usage, right? So high, highest, and what is the latency. So here you can see that here I clearly mentioned that this is the highest token usage, the slowest latency, the highest cost per run. So basically don't do file attachments. That's my 80-20, right? So I think I made it clear, avoid it. Okay, so, but now, anyway, we have clarified what is the difference between a system prompt, which is the behavior, right? And the company knowledge, which is the agent knowledge base of the company, of the services, and etc. Now, I want to discuss the third way of inserting company knowledge. But before we discuss the third way, we need to discuss something else, because here we are referring to tools. But what are actually tools? So right now, we have that whenever you have something that is inserted in the initial prompt or in the files, it's retrieved each time you interact with the agent. And the agent, as of now, can just talk, right? It can't do much more than answering your questions. It can't access your Gmail account. It can't access your Excel sheets, and so on. So tools, basically, it's just a way to enhance your agent and allow it to gain access to third-party tools. So calendar, whatever, emails, anything, right? ClickUp, CRMs, so that the agent can call them. And when does it call them? It calls them only when it's necessary. So what is the cool part about tools? That let's imagine that we said that we called the the third way is to insert the knowledge base, and now I'm going to show you why. Sorry, the knowledge base inside the tools, right? And that we call tools only whenever it's necessary. So let's now go back to the example. So the agent knows, and here I'm going to draw it like this. So I'm going to draw it like a separate now sheet, right? So it's going to draw it like here. So let's imagine now that the conversation is, hey, hello, how are you? and the guy goes, hey, Joe, what's your name? And now the agent answers, hey, I'm Paul Roofing Company. And mind you, the agent in this interaction just retrieved info from here because we have that in the first line, you are a receptionist at Paul Roofing Company. So it already knows that information. But now let's imagine that we have that the the caller asks, okay, what are your services? Then the agent answered. And now, just because we have services at this point and only at this point, then the agent is going to go inside the tool. It's going to call the tool. It's going to retrieve the information about the tools and etc. And so it answers back the thing, right? So let's imagine that now the answer from the agent is something unrelated. So, okay, fine. This is the offer. So, okay, what is your name? Then my name is Giovanni. Okay, then it starts to store the information in my name is Giovanni without calling any additional tool. And this is super important because just by a simple drawing, now without going too technical, you understand that having the knowledge inside tools, it's much, much, much more convenient, right? Because it's much, much, much better. So here, with going back to our initial drawing, it's basically as if we were moving the curve that we draw initially for this right here. So now we are at peak performance because we have that the system prompt just have enough information to know and to allow the agent to operate with all the knowledge available. And then we just provided the agent some enhancement, which are these tools. So let's now see how we add this. So if we want to add it as a tool, we are just going to go inside the tool section. So right here, we're going to press it. And then let's imagine that we want to add this knowledge tool right here that I already added. So we're going to press create tool, then query. Then in here, you're going to call this the same way that you want, right? So knowledge tool. Why? Because then it makes it just simpler for the agent to know that this tool is for knowledge. So we're going to call it knowledge tool number 2. And then here, probably you're going to do something along the way of this. And then a brief description, which by the way, doesn't impact a lot. Call this tool whenever you need to access company specifics data. So what we did so far is just naming the tool. Now we need to add the knowledge, right? So in here, we're going to go into the knowledge base. So add. Now description. This is the knowledge base of Paul's company. And then right here, files. And then just because you uploaded before in the files, we can select it from here. So now we have it ready because we're just going to press save. And now this is the place where we are going to access the thing, right? So we're going to access it from here, which is not attached to the prompt. So it's not in here because here we don't have it, but we're just going to have it inside our tool, right? In the knowledge tool number 2 or whatever. Now, I'm just going to delete it because I have it already and it's my knowledge tool. Now, how do I connect it? I go back to my assistant and I start scrolling down up until I see the tool section. And in the tool section here, you can select the tools and you can go inside your knowledge tool. Now, let's see, we're going to press publish, which basically means save, skip and publish. And in here, I am going to talk with my assistant now and see how it looks.
Hello, how may I help you?
Hello, I'm Giovanni. I would like to have some information related to your opening hours. Can you please let me know when you're open?
Got it, Giovanni. Our hours are typically from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Is there something specific you need help with?
Fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open the PDF and check if we got the right information. So we saw the opening hours right here, Monday to Friday, 7 to 6. Right? So we validated that the agent has access to the actual information. Now, with that said, we introduced tools. So we saw that the third method to insert the prompt is via tools, and it's the most efficient. Now, going back to tools though, we know that we don't only have one tool, right? Because if we go back here, then we clearly see that we have a lot of possibility of inserting a lot of tool in here. And to give you some clarity, I clustered them into 5. You have the default tools, right? So it's something built in and called transfer, whatever. Then you have custom tools, which is something that you can develop in a custom way, and that allows you to integrate your agent with third-party tools like CRM and etc. Code tools, which is something that you can create via code, right? So it's your tools or something specific that you want to do custom for the agent. Now, query tools, which is the knowledge base. So what we just saw, so knowledge bases, which we can understand, right, is just another tool. It's just a text tool. And then eventually integrations. So pre-built connectors that are already available and ready for us. We understand tool means accessing a third party. If you want to know the categorization or not, it's not what's going to move the needle. What's going to move the needle is knowing that what is a tool, that you can have query, which is for text, then end call, transfer call, which are the pre-made as mentioned, and then you can build something custom yourself, or eventually you can go with integration that are pre-made, right? So here you don't have to connect it. Basically, it's already there. If you want something else, then you're going to have to use your MCP or connect it in some other ways. Now, just for the sake of it, I want to show you how I connected, or we can connect actually, the new agent, so your assistant, to some other tools. So for example, I want this to store the information of a person inside a CRM. We can use Google Sheet for simplicity. I want to store information and have something pre-booked in my calendar so that I can have it already ready, right? Because the intent of this solution is that we want to avoid having secretaries working after hours, but we want an agent that whenever someone calls for an emergency, either reroutes them to an owner or books a solution, books an appointment into any available slot so that the business owner just can pick up the phone or pick up the calendar and have everything already pre-scheduled, right? This is our end in mind because this is the value of the solution. And by the way, there are a lot of businesses that lose call and they don't even know it. Cool. So how do? We just go back in here. We have our tools. Actually, we need to go in our tools. I created them before. I'm going to show you real quick how. So create a tool, and what I wanted a calendar. So I did the create an event and check availability. And I also did the Google Sheet integration. So how are you going to do it? Let's make the example. But in here, you're just going to run the description, the spreadsheet ID, right? So the spreadsheet ID is this one. So it's this one right here. So this is the Google Sheet that I would want to use in order to gather all of the information. Then I am going to paste this little puppy right here, and I am going to paste it in here. The range, we said that it's A to F, so something that we did. And here, they call this tool whenever you have to insert the details of a call, and you should call this at the end of each call. Perfect. So we just gave a brief description, and then we're gonna be saving this. So we're gonna press save. Right? So now I called it client database, but this is how you do it. So let me just remove it, just not to congest it so that you don't get confused later. So now this means that this is connected. And as you saw here, this is my description. This is a database where I store the information of a client, name, phone, address, service type, and etc. Spreadsheet ID and leads. It's the same stuff that we created. Now you can go back to your assistant, and you can go back inside your tools. If you did everything properly, you should see that in the window, something can pop up, which is what I just called client base, right? Database. And then you can do the same exact steps for the other two tools, which as we mentioned are the check availability. And this is my calendar, the mockup calendar. Use this tool to check availability. And eventually for the booking appointment, use this tool when you have to book an appointment. And this is my time zone. Okay. And so now we have enabled all of our tools in our assistant. Actually, we didn't. So because I didn't press save. So I'm going to publish and skip and publish. Perfect. So now we have all of the tools available and we have nothing left but trying to make an example and see if this actually works.
Hello, how may I help you?
Hello, I have an emergency. My rooftop just exploded.
Okay, let me get you taken care of right away. Can I get your name, please?
My name is Giovanni.
Thanks, Giovanni. What's your address?
My address is Street 1, City Blue.
Got it, Giovanni. I'll check our earliest availability for you right now. Just a moment, please. We can send someone over right now. How does that sound?
No, I actually would prefer to have something booked for Friday at 9 p.m. CT, just because I love to stay without a roof in my house.
I understand, but we can't book for 9 p.m. How about Friday at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. instead?
Ah, clear, because it's outside of your working schedule. So fine, please book me there.
Okay, just to confirm, Friday at 9 a.m. for your rooftop issue. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You're all set for a roof inspection on Friday at 9 a.m. Thank you for calling, Giovanni.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All
You're welcome.
Yeah, take care. You too. Okay, so what did we just see? We saw that at specific point, and this is what we call checking the logs, right? At a specific point, we had some tools that were called. So right here, the agent was checking the earliest availability. And if you press right here, you can check that it actually started with the right date and checked the right date, and it found that this is free. And why did it do this? Because we put that, and this is why it's in the prompt, the date is now with a placeholder. This is a dynamic variable, because if you don't, then this is gonna just randomly blast something in your calendar in, I don't know, 2013. And this is pretty frustrating for new joiners, right? Or to the space. So it called a tool, it confirmed that we are available, then I answered back, then it still had the knowledge that I booked outside of the working hours. So it said no. So what it did now here is to start scheduling the appointment and doing all of the remaining things. So now we're just gonna check real quick that it worked. Now I see that this didn't work. And also if I go here, I see that it didn't work, even though we actually know that the agent actually got the information. So what happened? What happened is that we need to go now back here on more and press integrations, because right now we're still not connected. We made the connection, but there is still no connection from Vapi to the third-party tool, right? So now we created the tools, but we didn't integrate them yet. So in here, top right, calendar, boom, and then you're gonna press connect, okay? And then you're gonna do the same for the Google Sheet. You're gonna press connect, and then eventually this will work. Now, I didn't do it because I have it connected here, which is exactly the agent that I'm gonna provide you. So that's that. So let me now do a test with this one so that you can actually see.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hello, I have a problem. My rooftop exploded.
Oh no, that sounds serious. Let me take care of this for you right away. What's your name?
My name is Giovanni. I live in City 1, Country Blue, apartment 2. And I want an appointment for next Friday at 9 a.m. CET.
Got it, Giovanni. Let me check the earliest availability for you. One moment, please. Okay, Giovanni, we have availability next Friday at 9 a.m. Does that work for you?
Perfect for me.
Great. I'll book the appointment now. Can I have your phone number, please?
123 123 123.
All set, Giovanni. Your appointment is confirmed for next Friday at 9 a.m. Thanks for calling Paul's Roofing.
Perfect. So why do you think it asked me the phone number? Because of one thing that I specified in the prompt, which is you must check if you gathered all of the information from the client before booking the appointment. And if I go in my calendar now, this is the roofing repair that I was looking for. And if I go in my Google Sheet, oh yeah, I have that this is still exactly what I wanted. Let me just fix it now so you can see it better. Perfect. But it needed my phone number in order to proceed, right? So now this guy has all of the information that it needs in order to book the appointment. And in case I wouldn't show up, or in case the owner wanted to talk to me, it would have the phone number. We could reroute the request, and this is how you could handle it, right? So at this point, you have a simple voice AI assistant that answers in actually 1 second, this one. That gathers the name, the phone number, the issue, the address. It clusters the type of service that you need, and it also books for a specific date. Now, this is something that businesses really need. You can sell this, and we will talk about it later with the ROI calculator and etc. But this is easily a monthly retainer of $500 because what I will show you later is, so let's imagine having two numbers in order to quantify why a 500 a month retainer, right? So I want a 500 a month, which is, this is my retainer. So for an average service business, one customer, let's stay very conservative, right? So imagine that you have 5 clients that are calling after hours for a roofing company. And I don't know, on average, a repair might cost, I don't know, 1K. You can do your math according to whatever it is that you want to use as numbers. And you can understand that the potential uplift and potential increase in revenue, if we were to convert all of these, is $5,000, which basically is a 10x of the investment that you're gonna make. And if you even recover one customer, right, this is 1K over 500, which is a 2x. So the ROI is immediate, and you can clearly see the value of these types of solutions. Of course, mind you, if you go on businesses that are more regulated, of course, this increases. It's a thing that is more difficult, but the average ticket is so much higher. Very well. Now, moving to the next topic, we need to discuss how to customize the voice and latency. So how you can customize your voice, you have a lot of providers. And what I want to show you here, because then I'm going to show you inside the platform how you can do it, but is that it always comes down to quality and speed. So for example, something that I have seen a lot, and that's for sure phenomenal because I love them, it's ElevenLabs. So it has so many cool voices and etc. However, the drawback is that it's slower. So as you could see with our agent, we could interact easily. It was very simple to talk to. But if I were to move it to ElevenLabs, which we will do it right now, you will see how much it would take and how slower the whole thing would be, right? So this is what I want to say. It's always a trade-off between one and the other. How do you customize your voice? Voice configuration, provider. Instead of Vapi, you can go, I don't know, ElevenLabs, and we can save, right? Skip and publish. Okay, we can go in here. You already see that the latency deteriorated. So this is what I was referring to before. Nicer voice, super slow. And that's an issue. But if I talk to the assistant now, we will see and we will hear.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hey, I have a leakage.
Okay, let me get you taken care of right away. Can I have your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Giovanni.
Got it, Giovanni. What's your address?
Okay, so you can clearly see that it takes a while for this to answer. So it depends really on what you want, right? Now, this is how you can customize your voice. We are just gonna go back to our model just because I don't want this to take forever when we try it. So we just go back to Vapi. We are happy with Elliot. And as mentioned, the latency will go back down to around 1K. And now, before moving to Claude Code, one of the last thing is latency tuning. So where can we play with latency? So we mentioned in the beginning, and I'm just gonna redraw it real quick, that if you have here your voice, right? Your AI agent will then be divided into 3 big layers. And then the AI agent will shoot back again a voice, and we have that this thing goes in a continuous loop. We mentioned that the first layer is the speech to text, right? STT, and the other one is the text to speech. So one is here, one is here. So just to be clear, you can play around with the latency. So with your brain, so how slow it will be the model or how fast it will be when it thinks, right? It can be in here. So before we start speaking, so as I mentioned here, so here we can control how fast is the speech to text translation. And before we actually translate it back to voice. So how much time it will take for us to transcribe from text to speech back again. What does it mean in practice? It means that in practice, you have that going down. So we across the tools, we are very good, and we said that we have everything in place. If we continuously go down, 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 you have that under the advanced tab, so this one, you have stop speaking plan and start speaking plan. What does it mean? Basically, these two are things that you can use to tweak. And by the way, that's why I tend to use Vapi over RetailAI, because I think this is just nicer to have and etc. And you can tweak it a little bit more. Let's say it like this. However, you can do it like in here, right? So wait seconds. This is how long the assistant waits before speaking. So you can have it answering immediately, right? And then you can play around with it. And let's make it super slow, so you're gonna see immediately. So smart endpointing, which is, back again, what we were discussing in the theory before. So if you followed everything properly, you now know that the endpointing is what decides when we should start this whole process. So when we can speak again or when we should stop speaking again, right? So here you can have it to Vapi or off. LiveKit is the fastest. Wait functions, then you can customize the thing. And this is for start speaking. And at the same time, with stop speaking, so if I speak on top of the agent, how fast will it stop? Or do I need to speak for more than 0.1 second and so on, right? So latency is basically controlled in the three areas that I showed you. And it's controlled playing around with these tools right here. So that's why in this guide, you will find that if you go back, you have the latency, you have everything structured top to bottom with all the material provided, how fast, how slow things will be, and etc. And the reason is because it's really dependent on what is the trade-off that you're making. If you want to have something with the public, you probably don't care, right, about like a lot about the quality of the voice. You care more about speed. However, on the other hand, one of the businesses that I'm consulting does 50 million plus in revenue, and they take care about disruption for airports and something like this. So in that specific case, since it's the model calling the various hotels to check availability, then eventually on that specific case, you care about the quality, right? Because you are interested not a lot in the other side of the phone, the person that waits a lot and stays a lot at the phone. Of course, we're not talking about 5 minutes, we're talking about a few seconds more. However, at that point, you're just more interested in getting the right information. So you just want to make sure that you're actually extracting and retrieving all of the right info, you're storing them to the right DB, and you don't want to commit mistakes, right? With the public is less important, let's say. That's just to speak broad terms, but then there are complications and nuances for sure. Perfect. So now we built everything in Vapi. Before going to the offers, and so how you can sell voice AI agents and etc., let's go to Claude Code, because I would like to show you that now we went through these gigantic process to create this voice agent. However, there is an easier way to create voice agent, which is using Vapi MCP. Actually, let me go right here so that I can show it to you. What is an MCP? Basically, the MCP is an universal USB. You can think about it like this, that allows Claude Code or various systems to be connected to one another. And each system speaks, let's say, the same language. And it basically means that by connecting with this MCP, Claude Code will have the same functionality of Vapi. So basically, just in Claude Code, I will be able to say, hey, please do X, Y, and Z. And the Claude Code will be able to build the full system top to bottom, just like we were doing before. Now, what are the things that we will be providing? So here, if you see the documentation, no, sorry, I was joking. It's in the MCP, and then you have the quick start for Claude, and you can copy this, and this will be the MCP server, right? So now what we are going to do is we're going to go inside Claude Code. And if you don't know how to build a agentic workflow or how to use the terminal, I built a 3-hour tutorial somewhere up here. I will provide it to you. However, now let's go inside Claude Code and let's show you. And let me show you how you can build this stuff from there. Okay, so for this, we're going to use Google Anti-Gravity as an IDE. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 3-hour course for free available here on Agentic Workflow. Like, there is the full walkthrough and you will know everything. So as you know, we're gonna create our first instance and folder. So in here, we're gonna create, I don't know, Agentic Voice Agent, something like this. And we're gonna open it. Now, you are going to open your Claude Code inside here. And what you're going to do is we are going to have an initial prompt so that the AI will give us the full plan on how we can connect to the Vapi MCP and how we can connect actually to the Vapi tools so that we can build the AI agent from here. Where do you access it? You go back to our Skool community, and in the same thingy right here, you start going down and there is a prompt for Claude. Now, this is huge. So let me quickly skim through it. However, you're going to be able to see it. I left this so that you could put your API key right here. So it's just a matter of finding the API key and substituting them, right? And all of the rest is setup of the MCP ready, Google Sheet for lead capture with the structure that we provided, everything about it. So service offered, what tools are we using and how are they called? So check calendar availability and etc. I created the Vapi assistant, and then eventually you will see a few things, how it should start the call, how it should end the call, and so on. Of course, I didn't write it. I got helped by AI, and AI helped me write all of this prompt. However, what you're gonna have to do right now to create any agent, you're gonna just have to come here, press it, plan mode, and now you're just gonna have to wait, and you are simply going to, and the AI agent will ask you later on, to provide your API keys and everything whenever you are prompted. So allow me simply to avoid having in the video me pasting API keys and stuff that anyway I have to cut. So I will just continue the video once this is finished and I will show you the end result. All right, so I got carried away. I made a couple of other things that are gonna be very nice, but so you will see that now I have 2 more things. And by the way, I'm gonna provide everything for you for free down below. So everything in the community will be available, so don't worry. However, we now have the AI agent and I wanna show it to you in Vapi. So let me actually go back to Vapi and then let's see inside our dashboard on the agentic AI. So we're gonna have Claude agentic voice agent, which I spinned already. And this is the agent that we were actually seeing even before. So as you can clearly see, now this has the same thing that was provided by AI, right? And you can clearly see that versus the one that we created initially, which is our voice agent, the prompt is slightly different, okay? But it has the same things. So this was created from Claude Code. So now this works, so I'm gonna try it, but I'm gonna try it on a website because I made something for you even nicer. So we're gonna have that Transcriber tools. We see that all of them are connected. And once you run it, you're gonna see that this literally pops up for you. So now what is one thing that I would like to have better visible and that I build with Claude Code for you? I would like to know a bit how my calls are going, what are my logs, without having to go into this super technical stuff and etc. So the first thing that I asked Claude, literally it's build me a dashboard that shows me some KPIs, didn't ask anything else, was to build this. So this is a dashboard that will display what are your recent calls, right? How much they cost, what is the status, how much did they last, and what is the agent that made them. So my test agent, which is the latest that we used, YouTube voice agent, which is the one that we created, and etc. This dashboard is refreshed every 30 seconds. You can see it from here. And you also have the chance of refreshing it now. So it's live, checking our website live. It then has all of, this is more or less the same view, right? But here we have only the calls. Here I have total calls, duration, leads. So it's simply the same dude that's calling you, right? Which is me, and etc. Now, agent, it allows you to figure out what are your agent, right? And so you have the fast receptionist and Riley from, it refreshed right here, and all of these names. Then leads, It's the name of the person that booked, which if you remember previously, we mentioned that we had the rooftop that exploded and we needed Friday 9 a.m. an appointment. And so this is the initial thing. So you have a dashboard. Your client can have a dashboard. This is your product now. Now, step number 2. I pulled up a quick website where I made this, which is a widget. And you can show them what would be the end result. Again, I asked Claude Code to create a widget for me to be able to talk with the agent. But look at this.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hello, I have a leakage. I need help.
Okay, let me get you taken care of right away. Can I have your name, please?
My name is Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Can you share your address?
And you see, basically now this is how your and what your AI agent would look like. Basically, imagine a customer going in your website, seeing talk to us, and then immediately taken care of. I mean, the business owner will be more than happy to have this widget. Mind you, you can be so fancy. You can ask, okay, let me move it in the website, or when I press it, open and put me a picture of myself there you can go as fancy as you want. And then third thing is, whenever you're going to sell these solutions, I teach how to sell to this solution in my one-on-one mentorship program, first link down below. But whenever you're going to sell these solutions to businesses, one of the most difficult things will be positioning them in a way that it's clear the ROI. So what I built is for you, something that you can even use as a lead magnet for your clients. I built a ROI calculator with this voice AI agent logo and etc., where basically you are asking the owner, or you can even tell them, okay, show me your business. What is your monthly call volume? Okay, let's imagine that I receive, 150 calls. What is the average call duration? 2 minutes. And so here you see, it checks also how much does it cost. Staff. I have one person, average salary for a receptionist is, in Italy, they don't take a lot of money. So 28, 26, 32, this should be tops, the range that they take. How many missed calls you have per month? Someone will tell you, I don't know. And you will be like, okay, let's make an example. You miss 10 people call outside of your working thing. What's the average revenue that you have per client? Okay, let's make $1,000, okay? So very conservative numbers. No one has this little volume unless you just started a business. So calculate my ROI. Your solution will cost you around $432 to maintain. And if you, let me just phrase it, if this is the running cost, right, then this is how much you're saving versus the labor, right? And this includes all of the various other costs that you have, overhead, it's all inside there. Then you have an additional profit of this. And then this is your annual saving, right? This is from recovered leads, right? So you're saving here both on cost of personnel and recovered leads. So this is to say, this is your little toy. This is very, very easy. And this helps visually display things. So with that being said, I think you're going to love it. I'm going to leave everything for free. And it's also in my community. So go grab it. And then I will go back and let's talk about what are the actual offers that are making money right now in 2026. All right, and now that we saw Claude Code, let's move to chapter 7, which is voice AI agent offers. Because now we built an AI receptionist. But the thing is, what it is actually that people are selling, what it is that is working, what is the upside potential, and where should we go, right? So right now we built the entry solution. So we built this AI receptionist. It doesn't cost us a lot to do, right? It's a medium difficulty and income potential. I would range it between 20 to 120K, depending on the type of clients that you are targeting, right? Now, when we talk about, and I will have it for everything, about the voice AI agent, I shared also the MVP. So a quick drawing that will help you understand how to build it. So incoming calls, greeting intent, we are routing answers, we are taking the message, and we are notifying an owner, or we're booking an appointment, right? This is the thing. Now, we have another thing, which is the AI appointment setter. So this is part of our receptionist because we built kind of a comprehensive product. However, The intent for this is a lot of clients are calling, and an example of this is, I don't know, roofing companies or even media, right? Even influencers, that people that want to work with them, but they are calling, they're not answering, and etc. Maybe they are high ticket. So what we have is appointment setter. So how do these things work? Basically, some things is someone actually compiles a form, so there is a lead trigger. Then the AI straight away calls the lead. So actually it's the flow. Then the AI qualifies the lead, books the appointment if it's qualified, and confirm and remind, right? When is this useful? As mentioned, I will give you an example. I wanted to open a company recently, like a year ago, and I asked, I don't know, Luxembourg, I asked Dubai, etc. So when I talked to Dubai, I compiled a form on Instagram, and then they shot me back right away an AI that called me straight away after 5 minutes. I didn't answer because I didn't know who the fuck was calling. And so this AI kept calling me at interval of 3 hours. And now I understood the importance of this, but now a year after that I've started building, selling, and coaching people how to sell automation and also these solutions right here to businesses. Now I understand what is the power. Because whenever you are targeting the first initial 5 minutes between the submission of a form from a lead, and if you can call them within those 5 minutes, that's when you have the highest intent. So here, this is why money-wise, this solution has more potential, because specifically it's generally also for higher tickets, right? And it's still like pretty good in terms of income potential, still medium to develop, but you can't really estimate the cost here because it really depends on the usage. Like if you use it like once every never, then it's a thing. If you use it constantly, then it's another one, right? Third solution is the customer support. What do we mean? E-commerce business. Someone calls, what is your policy for, I don't know, return of your items? How does it work, right? So this is how you're going to build it. So the customer calls. So eventually we're going to have a trigger, which is the inbound. Then intent, we are routing the thing. We're accessing the RAG. So think about our voice AI receptionist. We have a RAG with the company knowledge. Here will be similar stuff, right? Then we have a voice resolution, or we escalate to a manager, and then eventually you send a ticket, you make the summary, you ask if they're satisfied or not, and you close. So you see that the building blocks are there. Like the example that we did with the AI receptionist is kind of comprehensive, because now it's just a matter of different business use cases and different examples, right? But the structure is there. So because we are selling it to higher ticket compared to the AI appointment setter, and because this is generally for B2Bs, the average ticket is higher, so that's why there is a more revenue potential. And also for you in terms of recurrent revenue, this is triggering me, to be honest, but fine, regardless. Okay, so that's why we put it at 120 to 400K, depending on who you target. And by the way, this tends to be super good, right? Because once this system is implemented, it's very hard for them to churn. So that's super nice. Lead reactivation, here it depends a lot. Like think about, I don't know, even roofing companies or landscaping companies. A lot of clients are there, they just contacted you, but never really purchased anything. So what is going to happen? You're just going to go inside a CRM, right? So you're going to have a CRM. You're going to access this as a tool, right? So again, another sort of RAG. With your agent, we are going to understand and cluster, let's call the leads in here if they're not already. We're going to feed them to an AI that's going to understand the intent of the leads whenever these AI is calling them. So did they answer? Did they not? What is the answer? Are they willing to purchase or not? And etc. Updating the CRM, and eventually here there is a couple of steps, which is flagging it to a sales rep with then some automation in here, probably inside here, right? So the sales rep could simply go and check the tag, and eventually there is the sales handoff, and basically the sales rep was just gonna reach out to the client. Of course, needless to say, a lot of businesses have leads that needs to be reactivated or that they reached out but didn't purchase. Also for AI agencies, by the way, a lot of people that you contacted that maybe were not interested, that they told you, okay, let's hear each other in 7 years, and then you can just constantly resurface them because technology evolves fast. They will become interested eventually. And lastly, AI recruitment, right? So recruitment services for, I don't know, calling candidates, updating them on why they will never be hired because AI is going to take their job and, and all of that stuff. So, okay. So the MVP is job posting, the agent calls, then there is a scoring mechanism. Again, a dashboard to figure out how many are in line, how many are not, what is the status during the pipeline, and etc. And then you schedule the interview with any other mechanisms. All right, so thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this tutorial. I hope you found it insightful, and I hope you now have clear why voice AI agents are going to be one of the biggest opportunities in 2026. And now you have a little bit more clarity on how to build them. And if you're interested in using this knowledge and now making money with it, and you're a 9-to-5er, please check the first link down below. It's the link to my one-on-one mentorship program where we start and scale your AI agency to your first 10K a month and more within the next 90 days. So with that being said, if you enjoyed, I am pretty sure you're gonna love the 3 hours tutorial on agentic workflow. So I will leave it right here.